Hello, my name is Hailey Bricker. I'm a senior at Shepherd University and I'm graduating this semester, as many of us are for our senior capstone. And I'm actually going to be sharing with you my personal senior capstone that is a podcast and novel called Fade. So, what is Fade? It, as I mentioned, is a novel turned like podcast slash audiobook. It has 7 chapters total at the moment, and that translates to episodes, of course, whenever you're actually listening to it on Spotify or Anchor. And there is an episode 0, which is kind of a summary and a prequel, like leading into what the podcast will actually be about. So it is, as I mentioned, available on Spotify and Anchor, so you can listen to it on either of those platforms. And general summary, if I could be as vague as possible, because we don't have too much time to get into it, and it is a very intricate plot line. It's a mystery and a romance about a girl named Delilah and her ghostly companion Beck, who went to school with her and got into a mysterious accident. So the two of them are trying to figure out exactly what happened to him and to get any answers that they can, which is actually very intimately tied with Delilah's story. So, why a podcast? I decided, first of all, it's COVID-19 friendly to start with, and that was not my original plan for my senior capstone. I was going to actually do a 1-act play and turn it into like a show and everything that I could write and direct and then hopefully put on this semester. But unfortunately, with everything going on, it became quite apparent that I did not want to risk anything and put people in a bad position. So I ended up taking a different route with it. And I wanted to utilize my radio experience because I went to Shepherd. I started my communications degree the previous semester, and I have a degree in music. So I came back to finish it up the communications degree and ended up falling into radio, which I really enjoy. And I have a radio show for the past 2 semesters about conspiracy theories alongside my friend Taylor O'Veary. And it is really fun and delightful and was such a good time and a wonderful introduction into this new experience and kind of led me into a new career path, I'm hoping. But I genuinely really, really enjoyed it. And I wanted to use the radio experience that I've learned because in addition to our actual radio show, I am the news anchor this semester for WSHC 89.7, which is the Shepherd University radio station. I also have always been a big fan of writing. I have been actively writing since I was a kid, and I would be a child writing short plays for my friends to put on for my family, and they were never great because I was like 5 writing them, but it was really fun and I enjoyed it, which is the important thing. And I've been actively like writing and telling stories and everything since a really, really young age. So it's kind of nice to combine those 2 things. And so research, just a general overview about like my research. I ended up putting most of the effort and time into the various podcasting platforms because it is a growing field and it is such a big scope now. I know Apple Podcasts tend to have a really long time to review the actual podcasts that are going to be uploaded to like and look at the show and everything. So it takes a while for the podcast to be uploaded. So I decided not to use that one. And Spotify was one of the best platforms that I could find that was like an immediate, this is where it is, this is where you can find it. Everything you upload within like 30 minutes is going to be there. And I decided Anchor because Monica actually introduced it to me. And it is a great way and very, very user friendly to get an RSS feed so that you can upload wherever. And it's a really good platform. You can edit on there, which I didn't end up doing. I used Audacity to edit, but it has so many functions for people who are just getting started podcasting. And I actually really enjoyed the platform a lot. So I also looked into auditory storytelling via podcast and audiobooks as well. And it's something that I listen to a lot. I generally really enjoy listening to them. So I decided that I needed to learn a bit more about that and why people do what they do. And it was very interesting to kind of learn exactly what goes on and how hard it is to choose music and find the right people to actually voice the stories. And I generally looked into genre, storytelling, and novel formatting alongside paranormal theories because Beck, one of the main characters, is a ghost. So it was a lot of like storytelling and like learning exactly how to approach that. So the process, the character plot and outlining was first. I had to figure out who the characters were. I had to figure out what they were doing and where they were going, which was it took a while. It took a long time to actually figure that out, but I was very inspired by this story right away, which made things a lot easier. Writing and editing the chapters, actually like physically writing them, which I ended up using Google Drive to do, which is wonderful. And I had everything in one place in one folder and super easy to do, easy to find. And then the act of finding music and recording the audio, which I got a Snowball microphone and was using Audacity to do. And I was using various platforms that had royalty-free music that I could insert into the chapters. And then actually mixing the sound, like putting everything together and like trying to find the right levels and everything. That was the biggest learning curve I think that I had, was trying to figure out exactly the best way to do that, which I'll get into more later, and then actually uploading to the various platforms. So a lot of steps went into it. And in general, the strengths and weaknesses. So what I feel I did well on, what I feel like I had the biggest obstacles with, I think strengths and like things that I'm proud of in general. I am just very passionate about this project and I think it shows. I had a lot of fun genuinely working on it, which is about as much as you could possibly ask for whenever you're doing a senior capstone, is that you want to enjoy what you're doing. Like you want to have fun. It's a big project and it's showing off things that you love and skills that you have. And I had a great time just overall working on it. And then biggest issues I would say was adapting so quickly this semester to this new routine, this new outlet, because normally you have the prior semester to prepare and to get ready. And some of the storytelling elements could transfer over, but not all of them. So it was kind of a learning curve of being like, all right, throwing myself right in the deep end. Let's do this. Let's learn how to make a podcast. And it was really fun though. And I genuinely enjoyed it. It was just fun to adapt and kind of be in that situation, because it's important to be able to think on your feet like that. So now I'm actually going to play for you a section of Fade. I'm going to show you the introduction, a small snippet of the actual like intro reading the novel and everything for chapter 4, and then a little later section so you can see like how the sounds is different for a different moment, and then the outro so you can get a general feel for what the actual podcast sounds like. Fade by Hailey Bricker. And then I saw you, and the world started moving again. Previously, we discovered that not only is Beck missing, but his best friend, Dominic, is also nowhere to be found. Pushed into a corner, Beck and Delilah decide it's time to break some rules. Find out what happens in Fade. Chapter 4. Desperate Times and Their Desperate Measures. The campus is always desolate on weekends. Lakeland University primarily gears towards commuters, those who decide to save a bit and live at home, much like Delilah, or rent nearby apartments with close friends. It's a small town, quaint and local, but large enough you can leave the house without risk of running into a friend of a friend. We need a key. Delilah's heart rate begins to climb again, her actions fully setting in. Can't you just go through? She asks, before she can think better of it. He doesn't like the question, clearly, hurrying back over to the desk where she's still standing. It seems he can't walk through walls after all. She really should have asked prior to this. Or maybe he should have offered that bit of information when he proposed that ludicrous scheme in the first place. It certainly changes the order of their tasks. Fade, Chapter 4. Desperate Times and Their Desperate Measures. Stay tuned as Delilah accompanies her parents on a business dinner. In Chapter 5, a dinner on display. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you very much for being here and for listening to me. I had a great time explaining this project to you, and I hope that you can check out Fade on Spotify or Anchor and listen to it and enjoy. Thank you very much.